So usually when people are buying land, the sellers give them site plan, right? But I don't buy to that. I believe in you taking your surveyor to the site, picking the coordinates on the ground. Right?
Hey, so we are back with another episode where we are speaking to a property expert from Property Data Hub all about the property market in Ghana and the segments he believes are important for you to invest in. So check this out. I am back with an episode where we are speaking to professionals based in Ghana about the property market and how you can get onto the property market in Ghana. So I'm excited because today I'm with Kwame and we are speaking about all things around land acquisition, property acquisition, I can never pronounce it, but the due diligence process. I hope you get what I mean. And just want to find out all about how we can actually just provide more transparency to the process to help people to actually purchase property in the most efficient and the correct way without being burnt, because I've been burnt so many times. So Kwame, please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine. My name is Kwame Kankam. I'm a certified valuer and I'm the partner for Property Data Hub Limited. Our company is a real estate advisory firm. We help people with property valuations, site acquisition, insurance for properties, due diligence for land acquisition, so on and so forth.
Okay, so everything.
Everything in the built environment.
So why did this whole company come about? So you started the company?
Yes, I started the company.
And why did you decide to start this company?
So I started my career at Lands Commission as a national service personnel. In 2013. After that, I joined an evaluation firm in Ghana. And I noticed that one of the biggest challenges for people in the diaspora was the depth of information in the real estate market. People who are trying to buy really struggle with information as to like the workflow, who to go to, who to talk to, the kind of information they need, and so on and so forth. So I started aggregating real estate data because I realized that was the biggest challenge. So people who want to buy couldn't get information on like historical data online. So I started aggregating sales data, rental data, started building dashboards, telling stories about our market. So that was where we started from. And then we added advisory to help people like navigate through the hassle of property acquisition.
Important. Let's go back to Lands Commission for a minute, because Lands Commission itself is, when you enter, I remember back in 2013, 2014, when you enter into that building, you're even lost. Actually, quick question, they still have that vegetarian restaurant there?
It's still there.
That's my favorite vegetarian restaurant. I love it. The yam balls.
Yeah, it's nice.
The yam balls, the fufu with the soup where you got the mushroom.
I'll tell you a story.
Tell me the story, I want to hear it.
So one of my friends went there, he wanted to get some fufu. So when he got there, he said, can I get fufu and go? They said, no, it's a vegetarian restaurant. He said, okay, I'm coming.
He didn't come back.
Yeah, he didn't come
I don't know, but the food is actually amazing.
It's good.
It's amazing. But when you go into Lands Commission, there's so many different offices, and I even felt at that time things weren't joined up. How have things changed over the years, especially when it comes to lands, when it comes to digitalizing a lot of the data that exists in this country?
Yeah. So I think there have been a bit of improvement with some policies. So previously, I think some of the institutions were working in silos, like the land title registry was a department. The stamp duty or the valuation, where you do stamp duty, was also like a department. The survey and mapping division was also a department. But right now, there is one Lands Commission. So right now, it's like they've made some amendment to the laws, and now we have like one holistic institution called the Lands Commission. Right? So depending on what you want to do, you may be mandated to go through all the institutions. So when you are doing land title, at one point or the other, you have to encounter all the divisions. So you need to get your size plan done, you need to get your stamp duty done, you need to get your land title done. So one way or the other, you have like an encounter with almost all the departments.
So with Property Data Hub, how do you help to alleviate that process? Like, how do you help somebody, maybe like me, who's coming from the diaspora, to try and navigate all of these various offices and departments to try and just, all we want to do is to buy land and make sure it's legit, right? So how does PDH, Property Data Hub, help with that process?
Okay, good. So when you come to us, we first off try to understand your problem to offer you the best solution. So let's say you want to buy a land at where. Give me an example.
Let's say OEB.
OEB, okay. So it means I'm presuming that you've identified the land that you want to buy, right? Okay.
Well, let's say a breed, because everybody's looking for land in a breed these days.
A breed, good. Okay, so you've identified the land you want to buy. So we need to walk through like steps, right? Because land is not like tomatoes that you just buy it on the shelf with the hope of returning it if it's not good. So first off, we need to establish the boundaries of the land, right? We need to establish the owners of the land. How do we do that? So usually when people are buying land, the sellers give them site plan, right? But I don't buy to that. I believe in you taking your surveyor to the site, picking the coordinates on the ground, right? So we pick the coordinates on the ground and then we need to go to Lands Commission. By the way,
I would say, just to be clear, I myself as the buyer would meet up with the seller and I'd say I'm bringing my own surveyor to come and pick the coordinates of the land.
They wouldn't have any problem with that.
Okay, cool. So that's the first thing. Okay.
So we go to the site, we pick the coordinate on the ground. So the person will say, okay, where is my land? Okay, this is the land I'm selling to. Where is the boundary? It spans from here to here, right? Okay, so he picks the coordinate. And then he will prepare, the surveyor will prepare a site plan for you. So that site plan will be used to run the search at Lands Commission. By the way, Ebri falls under Eastern, not in Accra. Okay,
fine.
Good.
Fine.
So we will go to the Eastern Region Lands Commission and then we will make lodgement for an official search.
Okay. How much does it cost to do a search?
So if you are doing a plot, it depends on the plot value. So the bigger your plot size, the more you pay on the official fee and so forth. But let's say if your land size is like one plot, let's say 100 by 70, you are likely to spend about like 1,000 cedis.
100 by 70, is that the standard or is that the old standards?
Well, in Ghana, we don't have standard plot size.
But there used to be like a plot size
100 by 100,
100 by 100.
Those are the olden days. Right now, people are doing 100 by 70, 100 by 80. So usually I always tell my client that don't use plot size as a unit of measurement. Go by acre, because 1 acre is 1 acre in the UK.
Yes.
1 acre is 1 acre in Canada.
But one plot here.
One plot. Yeah. You can have 100 by 70, and then you can have 100 by 10, whatever. So let's. I always tell them to use like an acre as a unit.
Because okay, do they use hectares? They use acres or they use hectares? Because I've seen sometimes on site plans you see 0 point something.
Yeah, they do convert to the equivalent hectare.
Okay. Yeah. And so when it comes to the acre, roughly for a plot, it's approximately
0.18.
Okay, so 1/8 of an acre is approximately one plot.
More or less.
Okay, so it's going to cost me. So I've got my surveyor. I've gone to do the site search. It was approximately 1,000 cedis to go and do the site search. What happens then?
Okay, so now we have the search, right? Sometimes the search can be. So I'm presuming that right now you have an expert who is leading you through all this thing.
Well, right? Of course I'm coming to PDH.
Good. So we are leading you. We are leading. No, sometimes some people go ahead and try and go through all these processes themselves.
So can you provide? So does your company provide a surveyor?
Yeah, we have all the professionals in the built environment. So if we are doing it for you, once we have the search results, we will call you, sit you down, and tell you, break it down. Because sometimes it can be very complex to understand.
What kind of things happen when you see a search? Like, what are the typical things that happen?
When you see a search?
When you see the results of a search?
Sometimes you smile. Sometimes you wonder why there are conflicting records.
So it could be the person who's selling it to you just doesn't even exist on the search document.
It happens. There are instances where there is a break of a chain. So let's say you buy a land, you didn't register it, but then you are trying to sell. It means the record is still going to be in the name of the old person, right? But you can't discount the fact that it belongs to you. So what happens is that you will lead the person buying to the old owner, and then he will do the transfer.
Would you now need to pay the old owner?
You wouldn't. It's a gentleman agreement.
Okay.
So that's why we always entreat people to go through the process of registration, so that you have like absolute control whenever you want to transfer, you want to will, you want to lease, or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. I'm jumping the gun a bit. The search process, just for people that don't know, is to verify that the person selling to you is actually the the rightful owner, the legal owner to be able to sell you that property.
Exactly.
And okay, so that just so that's clear. Yeah. But let's take a step back, right? When it comes to land in Ghana, there are different types of land types, different land ownership types. Can you walk me through the property types?
Okay, but before I answer that question, after you've gone through the process of getting information from Lands Commission, there are other information that Lands Commission may not be able to help you with.
Oh, okay.
That's information on the ground.
Okay.
So after you've gotten your search and all those things, it's always advisable to go on the ground and talk to the neighbors.
So what do you talk to the neighbors about?
They will give you like updated record. They will tell you, land guards were here some week ago, don't buy the land. Or they tell you, this land there, don't buy it. Lands Commission will not be able to give you that. You only get the information about like the legal owner, this person bought it, he sold it, he did it. But it's always good, after you've gotten the search, it's always good to satisfy your curiosity. Talk to the people, talk to the neighbors.
Okay, so what would you say are the key things to ask the neighbors?
So you need to tell them, you are buying the land from Lorraine Boateng. Is she the right owner of the land? Okay, there's she owns the land. Her mother gave it to her. She comes here, we know her. Okay. Sometimes they will ask you. Sometimes in most cases you realize that when you go on a land without the presence of the legal owner, the neighbors will call the person.
I've seen that before. The person so is around.
Exactly. So they say, some people came on your land, or you know them, blah blah blah. So it's always good to go on the ground and ask all these vital questions like, we are trying to buy the land from this person. Does she own it? They'll give you all the history. They can even.
Ghanaians like knowing everybody's
business.
Want to be in
everybody's. But sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. In the issue of land administration, is good because at least you get like the magic call that someone is trying to include your land and so on and so forth. Okay. So Lands Commission will not give you all those information. It's always good to go on the ground and get all those information about the physical possession. Okay. Who owns it? Who is on ground? Okay. Is the person selling to you in occupation? Okay. Exactly.
So ownership.
Talk
to me about ownership.
So I'll talk to you about ownership. So basically in Ghana there are 3 types of land, right, that someone can own. So if you are buying a land in Ghana, it's either you are buying a state land, you are buying a customary land, or you are buying a vested land. Right? Okay. So customary lands, there are names. So when you go to other parts of the river, let's say when you go to the northern side of Ghana, they refer to it as skin lands. As a skin. Because they are royal, sit on the skin. The chief sits on skin, exactly. And when you go to the other part, Ashanti and other parts, we call it stool land because our chief sits on the stool.
So customary, skin, and store are all the same thing.
So customary land is one segregation. So within the customary, you find the stool land, skin land, and family land. Okay. You know, there are some individual families who also own parcels of land.
Okay, because a family might not be a store, for example.
Exactly,
okay, I got it.
Exactly. So there is a state land that belongs to the government. So these are lands which are acquired under the Compulsory Acquisition Act. So the government can acquire land for any purpose. So if the government wants to build a hospital, you can acquire your land. If the government wants to build a school.
Isn't that just the government land then?
Yeah, those are the government. Okay, that's one part of the land types, right? Okay. So the state land. Okay. And we have the vested land. Vested land has some characteristics of a state land, but it's not a state land. So these are lands vested in the state. So the government is the one managing it, but there is a beneficiary ownership which goes to another group of people. So let's say 2 families are litigating over like a big land or something. So the government can vest that land into itself. So the government will be managing or doing all the administrative stuff. But I think recently in the New Lands Act, they are supposed to divest all vested lands. So that's something that they are working on. Yeah, so all vested lands are supposed to be divested. Okay. So very soon, some of the land will be reverted back to the various families, to whoever that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so there's 3 types of land. Yeah. So let me get this right. So we've got the customary land, which breaks down into skin, store, or family. Exactly. And then you've got the government or the state land
or public land.
And then you've got the vested land, which may or may not be divested very soon. Yeah. Okay, so with those 3 types of land, what do I need to know if I'm now buying?
Okay, so if you are buying the land, as we said earlier on, you run your search. So when you run a search, the search will tell you all these information. So when you run a search, the search will tell you if it's a government land, it's going to tell you. So when you run a search, one of the first things they write is whether it's a state land or not state land, because it's very key. You cannot go around selling government land to people. Though people are doing it, but then you cannot. Government land are strictly government land. The only body mandated to sell government lands is the Lands Commission on behalf of the government. Exactly. That will be the primary transaction. But then if you buy a government land, you can also sell it to someone. That will be a secondary transaction. Okay, good. So when you run the search, you get to see the type of land, whether it's a state land, or whether it's a stool land, or whether it's a family land, or whether it's a vested land, you see it. And even in cases where it's government land and it's been acquired under the executive instrument, it tells you the purpose of acquisition. So it goes on to tell you, oh, executive instrument or land acquired under executive instrument for so and so purpose. For race cross, for hospital, for it gives you all those detailed information. So if you are buying a land around a place where maybe there are telecom marks or something, and you run the set, maybe you may see that like the land was acquired for maybe utility service or something. And you get all those information. So when you run a search, you are trying to buy a land and you run a search and it says state land, it means you need to tread cautiously. It means you are trying to encroach on a government land, or you are trying to steal.
So what about the customary lands?
So for the customary lands, it's the same thing. So when you run the search, you get to see the ownership. So it will tell you the stool which owns the land. It will tell you the family that owns the land, and if they have made any subsequent transactions. So let's say Lorraine Aboatin's stool. So you sold the land to Kwame, let's say in 1945. You see all those records there. Lorraine Aboatin family. You bought the land. Your family owns the land. You transferred parts interest to someone. You see all those historical records there. And with the vested lands too, is the same thing. So when you run the search, you get all these detailed information. First off, there is no ownerless land in Ghana. Every land in Ghana belongs to someone. Yes, every land in Ghana. So when you run the search, you see all this information there.
So now talk to me a little bit about the freehold and the leasehold types.
So that takes us to the type of interest. So when you buy a land, we say land, you are buying a bundle of rights. You are not just buying just the soil. The soil. You are not buying the soil.
Interesting.
You are buying an interest, a bundle of interest.
I've never heard it being said like that before.
Really? So land, you are buying a bundle of interest. So that interest allows you to enjoy it freely. It allows you to transfer, give it to your kids. It allows you to build on it.
Use it for duration.
Allows you to use it for a duration. Good. So under the freehold means you have the land in perpetuity. But then currently the New Lands Act does not allow any transfer of freehold interest from families.
So let me be clear of this. Right now, there is that the same way me saying right now you cannot purchase any freehold properties?
So the law says the creation of freehold is not feasible, it's not possible. So let's say if you have a freehold now and you want to transfer it to me, that one is
I see.
possible.
So I will
if you have a freehold right now as an individual and you want to I want to buy it, I can buy it. But then if you are a family and you now want to create a freehold and sell it to someone, it won't work. Let me take it again. So
take it again.
I'll take it again. So we have a New Lands Act, Act 1036. So in the New Lands Act, you cannot create a freehold as a family. You cannot create a freehold. So you cannot sell freehold interest to people again. You can only give leases to people, right? Leases are terminable interest, right? But then if you have sold a freehold to an individual and the person wants to sell it, he is at will to sell it.
Fine. Understood.
So you can transfer freehold. But you cannot create. The family cannot create. Exactly.
I'm with you. Fine.
And we go to the lesser interest, that would be leasehold. Leasehold are terminable interest. But even before the passing of the Lands Act, the two lands were not allowed to create a freehold.
Oh, okay.
So whenever you see a freehold document or a freehold document, it means like that title is, the root of title is coming from a family. Yeah. So the constitution doesn't allow freehold to be created by stools.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So we go to leasehold interest. Leasehold interests are terminable interest.
Actually, question for you: why do you think the Lands Act has done that? Do you think because they want to make sure there is still some control over, like, the ownership of land one way or another with the
control? Control is one, but you know, when you look at the reasoning behind what they did, some advocate or some expert in lands have said in the past that land belongs to the living, the dead, and the people yet to be born. Right? So if these people are transferring freehold to people, like, it means their next generation, how are they going to live?
Oh, I see. So technically they're trying to make it seem like it's going to benefit the future.
Exactly.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So leasehold.
So leasehold are also lesser interest or terminable interest, right? So when you have a leasehold, it means you are time bound. You are sitting on a time bomb, technically. So a family can create a leasehold to you and give you, let's say, 99 years. So in the 99 years, it will come to an end,
and you have to
then
renew.
you need to renew.
Yeah, but the person that you bought it from might not be alive at that point.
So okay, good. That's a good question. So in the drafting of the convey of the document, there's a citation that states like this contract is being made between you, your successors, and heirs. Right?
Oh, I see.
So you may not be alive, but your successors and heirs will take over.
Can my successors decline the right to
if they are not interested?
Wow.
If they are not interested, they can decline.
Wow.
Yeah. If they are not interested.
And when it comes to the leasehold, I think we need to clarify something. For Ghanaians, it's up to 99 years, and for non-Ghanaians, it's up to 50 years.
Exactly.
Right? So technically, somebody who's a non-Ghanaian come to purchase the land, the maximum lease they can get is 50 years, and they would have to, potentially in their lifetime, would need to now go renew their lease.
Yes. But you know, in the New Lands Act 2, you cannot refuse the renewal.
That was my question.
Exactly. It's once the lease renews, you need to sit down with the person and then renegotiate on the renewal term.
Is there a maximum cap to what they would charge for renewal?
There is no maximum cap. But
so I could potentially be buying the land all over again.
You won't be buying it all over again because you have an existing interest in it.
Okay.
So how should I explain it? It's going to be like you're going to pay like a premium.
Okay.
It's not going to be at market value. It's going to
be
like a premium. So let's say if that same family is giving land within that same area, fresh leases for people for, let's say, 100K.
Yeah.
They can consider you and let you pay 50K for a renewal.
But it's still quite a lot, don't you think? But anyway, okay, so you've gone from leasehold, you've gone freehold, leasehold, what's next?
So we go to the lesser interest, that's sublease, right? So subleases are also terminable interest, right? So if you have a leasehold, you buy a land, you have a leasehold, let's say 99 years, you can create a lesser interest for me and give me 50 years.
Okay.
Right? So that's the lesser interest. Some families will give you a sublease. But then you notice that some of these things are very common with apartments because they always want to maintain control in gated communities. These are some of the interest that in the covenant they tell you that you cannot change your external painting, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you are supposed to pay this and all those things. So this is very common with apartment and gated communities so that like the developers can maintain control. Exactly. And then we move to license. License is also a terminable interest, but it gives you like a rights to be on the land for a certain number of times. So let's say you've identified a land somewhere, you can apply for license and then you get your license to be on the land for.
Could that be for people that maybe want to do farming, for example? Can they license or will they sublease?
License, usually for farming, they go by they have the traditional way, what's it called? Ebunu, Ebusan, they have the traditional customary tenancy.
Okay.
They have a customary tenancy for farmlands that they strike the deal. The landowner will have, let's say, the person farming will have, let's say, 2/3, and the landowner have 1/3 of the proceeds. Yeah. So there's special arrangement that they do for farmlands.
Okay.
So license, when you go to, let's say, a hostel, right? You are within that time, or when you go to a hotel, within that time that you are in, you are having a license
to be there.
Exactly.
Understood.
It applies to land too. You can have a land, and then you can have a license on it to use it for some time. Exactly. So I don't know if you've identified some basket weavers around cantonment areas. All those people are like they're having like a license to be there, so they can be kicked away anytime.
Okay.
When someone is having like a more stronger interest. So if someone is having a lease on the land, he can start the process of moving you out.
Okay. Fine. So what is the last type of interest for property?
So we will go with tenancy. So tenancy is also a terminable interest. So let's say I have a house that I want to rent to you. That will be categorized as tenancy. So I'll rent the house to you for, let's say, 2 years to use it. So within that duration, within that 2 years, you are like a tenant.
Okay, understood. Okay, this is all so much information to take in. So I think what I've learned today is that there are 3 different types of ownership. So you've got the custom land, you've got the government land, and you've got the last vested land. You're testing me now. And then you've got the different types of interest in those as well. And it was good to understand as well how the kind of leasehold, the transfer process works as well. So this is all great. So what I would love us to do is come back in another episode and talk more about how we can actually, like the various offices we need to go to get all of these approved. Because I mean, once you've done the searches, how do you now get the things registered? What is the due diligence process? All of that. So we're going to be back with a second part to this conversation to find out more about now the next process in terms of how you can actually get your land and your property registered so you know that it's actually in your name. So we'll be back with a part 2. Thanks, guys.